We're here to announce what I think is a pretty significant initiative, and it's the fulfillment of one of the expectations, I think, of the new county government, and that is that we wanted to have a closer relationship with our area police chiefs, and we wanted county government to start taking more of a role in making sure that we coordinate our law enforcement efforts. We know that these are difficult times, a lot of times for police budgets and public safety budgets. We realize that with the cuts that are coming down from the state. But we've decided that we're going to make, I think, a pretty strong statement by creating what we're calling a Sheriff's Office Impact Unit. This is part of a community policing philosophy that we're going to start to implement. It's going to cost us approximately $500,000 this year, since by the time we're up and running, we'll probably be at mid-year. And then for 2012 and 2013, I anticipate that we're looking at expenditures of about $1 million. Now, what is that going to pay for? It's basically going to pay for 10 deputies that are going to be assigned on a rotating basis out into all the communities of Cuyahoga County. It's going to be done not in a top-down way, but in a collaborative way with the public safety directors and the police chiefs of this county. We wanted to make this announcement here because we're making a statement also that we know that it isn't going to work unless it's a partnership with the local police chiefs, because we're a support service, but the day in and day out everyday law enforcement activity that happens in the 59 different communities of Cuyahoga County, those actions are performed. The vast majority of those law enforcement actions are performed by local police officers. This is not a substitute for that. It's an additional asset. It's an additional tool that local chiefs will have to assist them. Now, what are these officers going to? What are these deputies going to be doing? Well, some of the things that we have in mind are things like assisting in area surveillance. When there's a robbery that is something that local law enforcement asks for assistance with, traffic enforcement in a way that is defined, again working with local police forces in high accident areas, targeted actions on regarding DUIs, assisting with checkpoints to locate suspects or witnesses, also assisting in neighborhood canvasses. What all these things have in common is that all these are high visibility activities where we want to make sure that there's as much of a law enforcement presence as possible. Some of the additional specifics, each impact unit is going to consist of a team of approximately 8 to 10 deputies and a field supervisor. And Sheriff Reed and I have been talking about the mix of who would make that up, and we're looking at some folks that we think would be veterans of the Sheriff's Office, and we also believe that we're going to be adding some personnel. And that mix of both experienced people and people that are new and enthusiastic to the job, not that veterans can't be enthusiastic, but it's important, I think, to have that mix of new deputies and also some people that are experienced being out on the road. We're going to be working in partnership with, again, I've said this several times, but I want to just highlight that, with local law enforcement officers. So there's going to have to be a commitment to have some local law enforcement officers that are going to end up serving alongside those deputies. The vehicles and the equipment are going to be sheriff's deputies, and that's going to be provided by the sheriff's deputy, the sheriff's office itself. We're not looking for a financial commitment from the cities. This is something that we are going to be funding out of savings and efficiencies that we have gained out of our own budget. Now, this is, as I said before, this is a challenge for us because we're looking at cuts in state funding, but we believe that it was important to send this message that we're serious about it. We're willing to make an investment in it, and for the $500,000 this year and $1 million going forward, we believe that we're going to be able to sustain that on a continuing basis in our own budget. We think we're going to be able to put some people out on the road pretty quickly. The sheriff might be able to expand on that a little bit, but eventually, we hope shortly we'll be able to get everybody out on the road as quick as we possibly can. I want to turn it over to Sheriff Reed And Sheriff, you want to expand a little bit on what I mentioned and anything else I left out?
Sure, thank you. First, I want to thank Chief Harris for being our host, and also Chiefs for taking time out of your very, very busy day to meet with us. I appreciate that, and so does the county executive. The first 2 weeks that the county executive was in office, he met with me and wanted to make sure that we were on the same playing field, that his mission and my mission were going to be the same. And I think what it was that the expansion of law enforcement, or the augmenting of law enforcement in Cuyahoga County, that we, within that first 2 week period of time, we talked about these impact units and what we could do to better help communities throughout Cuyahoga County. And here we are, 5 months into this new government, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Let me share with you just some of the thoughts on the impact units. We have a rough draft right now of the policy and the procedure of the impact unit and what we can do for you. But let me just be brief. And we'll send a copy all around to everyone. You can take a look at it. And I guess really the reason for today's meeting was to get your input on how the impact units are going to work. We have a pretty good idea on what we're going to do and how we're going to take this the next step further. But we want you to review our policy and procedures, see if you have some ideas and some thoughts, and tweak it as we start to put this together over the next couple months. As the executive has said, we're going to hire some people. We're in the process right now of hiring 18 deputies. We've given the test. We're in that process right now of backgrounds and polygraphs and so forth. So that part of the plan is in full swing. What we want to do, though, is to share with you just some of the thought. Some of the thought is that, for example, if you have area burglaries, if you have area robberies that are going on in your community, and I know as a small police chief where you only have 2, 3, 4 patrol cars at any given time in your community, that sometimes these issues of having a special attention for robberies or special attention for burglaries is really difficult. Or if you do it, it's certainly on overtime. So, and we know how your overtime budgets are stretched. So what we would do is you would contact you as chiefs of police or safety directors would contact the sheriff's office, myself, the chief, or one of the captains, and say, we have an issue going on in our community. We have multiple burglaries. We have robbery. It appears to be a serial robber. And we would like some assistance from your impact unit. What we would do then, well, this would go very quickly. We would look at it. We would assess it. We would say that we'll bring 8 to 10 deputies into your community. And then you know your jurisdictions. You know what your community is all about. We would be there for assistance to you. You would tell us how you would want our deputies placed strategically throughout your community. You know your community certainly much better than we do. So this 2-page draft tells you what we would do. If you have an area that you've had a number of fatalities and you want the sheriff's office to come in and run radar or do DWI checks or DUS checks, we will do that, but it will really be at your direction. As the executive has said, this is going to be, let's say for 2012, a $1 million operation, 4 vehicles. We're going to have license plate readers on 2 of the cars, 1 being covert, and we're looking at also possibility of introducing a canine also into the unit next year. So the purpose of today's meeting is to get this policy out to you, have you take a look at it, and over the next month or 2, get back to us and give us some thought on what you think can improve it or what you think that we may need to add to it. But at the end of the day, this program is all about helping the 59 communities in Cuyahoga County to better police your community.
I'm just going to add just a couple things real quickly, and then we can take any, if there's questions from the media, then I think we're going to have more of a give and take from any of the chiefs that would like to have a dialogue with us today. First is, I know this stuff works. I've seen it work before. This is kind of deja vu for me because when I took over as the mayor of Lakewood, we had incredible budget problems. We had no surplus. We ended up eventually cutting 20% of our total workforce, but we added to our police department. And so just like Sheriff Reed and I met in the first few weeks, Chief Malley and I met in the first few weeks when I was in the office in Lakewood and said, what could we do? And we settled on this high visibility community policing type strategy, and it worked. Our numbers went down dramatically, and I believe in it, and I know that it works. Secondly, and kind of related to that, is this isn't going to be a program where it's worst first all the time. It isn't going to be just the highest crime areas of Cuyahoga County. There is a role for the Sheriff's Department in every single community. And so we have a lot of differences between crime rates and what the challenges are of public safety, and they're different in different areas. And there are times where we're going to be in parts of Cuyahoga County that are as bad as it gets when it comes to homicide, robbery, burglary, or any of your other Part 1 crimes. There will be other times where we have a much more scaled back approach in terms of what kind of things that we're focusing on. But that's because our mission is county-wide. But we can't have a philosophy where all the resources end up going to a few neighborhoods, because then you don't really have a county-wide mission. And it also takes you away from crime prevention. Then you're just reacting to what's already out there. We want to try to increase the police presence everywhere, so that in areas where the safety level that we're not happy with it, we can improve it. Areas where maybe we are happy with it, we want to help maintain it. So that's our outline of what we're doing today. We can take a question or two if there's questions from the media.